have more power in the police, all right? And then you fix the papers for illegal immigrants. You gotta take this and that and cut off the revenue supply, right? Put pressure on the debt. You fix the papers for immigrants in our community. We can do it. United. You show up where it really hurts. We can do it day after day. Have a seat at the table and change immigration law. Have immigration reform. Fix papers for the dreamers.
That's a strong one. That was not good. All right, we're done for now. That was bad.
I knew it was gonna happen. That's why I stayed back here.
Burning. Let me break down, guys.
It's not wet.
To like the National Guard and they would pick that up for you.
Yeah, everything I put
over. Okay. So they just, whatever you're giving up there, they're putting it together.
Everything you see in this box, they're rolling on the report.
He has a report for us. He's seen some people running just in the last minute. Tom?
Yeah, we are running out of the area because it is being overrun. It's, I don't know if you can roll back our tape about our video from TOC for about 30 seconds ago. It was absolutely, it was, I've never seen anything like that or been that close to anything like that before. It was a rapid fire. I think there was less than lethal rounds being fired by police along with flashbangs. I'm not even sure what else they were shooting, but they were responding to the crowd, which was getting increasingly hostile. It was getting more confrontational. People were getting more and more angry and then throwing more and more things at the police and CHP. So we're trying to get back to our truck right now and avoid any sort of incident. We just ran through the shopping mall that was right next to where all this was unfolding near the intersection of San Pedro and
yeah, we saw you just walk through the Little Tokyo shopping plaza there, Tom, walking away with some of the protesters as well.
Some lovely shops in there, I will say. Unfortunately, not able to stop at them. But yeah, this was very a very scary situation that's just played out there, and having seen what protesters were doing, they were throwing things at police. The response from police was to push the crowd back and to use intense tactics to break up the crowd and to try and disperse the crowd. This crowd has been sort of lingering here for a while, and it's been like a pressure cooker. It's been building and building. It's a lot of remnants from people who were down by City Hall earlier, and so what they were trying, I think what happened was as police were getting them to fall back, they ended up in this area, and look, we still see more of, I think that's the crowd over there that.
Watch them, they're coming this way.
Yeah, hey, Anna, let's go. Hey, we're gonna let you guys go. We gotta be safe here. We'll be back with you once we're clear.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. We're going to keep SkyCal above the scene there where you see, and Susie, you can just see how quickly things change from being very calm to all of a sudden you have to find a safe place to go.
Absolutely. And as Tom was talking about, this crescendo, of passions kind of, bubbling up, right? They're very calm. The LAPD is calm, obviously, because that's the stance that they want to take. Let these protesters protest and make their voices heard. But at the same time, when they
yeah, and I did go back and looked at Tom's recording because obviously we're always recording on our crews, but even though they're not on the air. And CHP did start to pop off some flashbangs. So CHP was shooting flashbangs in the direction of Tom and where he was, and that's where all those protesters were as well. And excuse the chopper, they're kind of moving around right now, but that is what was happening, and that's what caused that crowd to start to kind of bolt and go into different directions here as they were trying to, continue to move that crowd. Now, the crowd was on the move, and they were going towards, continuing down that street. What you heard in the back was LAPD moving around as well, trying to reposition themselves also to be into a situation where they can kind of deal with all of this. And for us, we're trying to figure out what the chopper is getting an eye on here, but we'll get that sorted out in just a second. But yeah, CHP, Ventura County Sheriffs, they were in control of that. Looked like LAPD was coming to join the party. They had been primarily dealing with that other crowd where Lori Perez was. They were taking into custody some of the other protesters that just, were kind of refusing to leave. We're following this ambulance here. We'll figure out in a second what's going on with it, but it's over near Boyle Heights area, Lincoln Heights rather, where the county general is. So that's what's going on right now. We know that they are trying to get that crowd in downtown LA under control and get them to move around and get them out of the area. And I'll check, and let me just see one more time if they've declared an unlawful assembly. We hadn't seen that yet, at least not from Central Division. But again, we know that the other agencies were kind of taking over that area.
And so far, Mike, we haven't gotten any numbers of injuries or people being transported because of being injured at any of these protests, right?
No, I mean, we had heard. Okay, so we're getting some information that there may be an officer being transported here to Los Angeles County General. So that's why the chopper is here looking. We'll see if it's this ambulance right here, what's going on. But the chief had said, or there was a statement this morning that said 5 officers had been injured, but we had understood it to be injured, but not to the point where they had to go to the hospital. Injured to the point where they were able to be treated on scene and kind of evaluated. We had also known that 5 horses were also injured because the mounted unit, which is not out tonight, but the mounted unit was out yesterday, and man, they went through it last night. I mean, there was a Molotov cocktail that was thrown at them. They were dealing with it. So we'll see this ambulance is pulling up to Los Angeles County General Medical Center near the Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights area. That's Rescue 1 from the LA City Fire Department. So we'll see if they end up pulling out an officer here. We're working on the details of figuring out how potentially that officer was injured, if that's the situation. Obviously, LA County General is the closest hospital to the downtown area where, they would be taking this person, should they be injured. We should know here in just a couple seconds.
We'll see here in a second, Mike, but usually when an officer is injured, wouldn't he be escorted with another officer that would come in a black and white? Yeah,
potentially. We just don't know the circumstances. I mean, there may be two officers back there that are escorting them, but yes, one, I agree with you that there would be usually a patrol car that would be following along here with the officer. So if that's the situation, maybe it's logistical, they don't have enough or what have you, excuse me, what have you, but we'll see in a second here if that's the situation. It's kind of hard to tell with these situations. We see an ambulance coming, they'll maybe think that it's an officer, but we'll have to see when this person gets I can't really tell.
Brought out on the stretcher now.
Yeah. Nope, not a law enforcement officer.
Not with the
That's just
beard.
another person going to the hospital. So, that's the situation there. We'll work on getting some more information, but clearly we're over LA General Medical Center.
All right, good to know that it wasn't an officer.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks,
Let's
Mike.
go back now to downtown LA. Our Lori Perez there on the ground to give us this update. Lori.
Yeah, we're at 3rd and Alameda, where behind me you might be able to see just the final few cars of LAPD. They are moving and leaving from this intersection after they were successful in clearing it. Just a few hours ago, it was filled with protesters who were facing off with law enforcement. But after repeated commands for them to disperse and to leave or face arrest, police started to cuff people. And in fact, we saw them cuff about 30 to 40 people, load them up on LAPD buses, white buses, and take them away. So, there were only so many times that they were going to warn people, and after doing that repeatedly, they got to work and cleared this intersection. It's remarkable because we aren't that far from where Tom Wade is and where there really is a hot spot in terms of activity, and there's none of that here at this point, at least. So that just shows you how difficult it must have been for LAPD and other law enforcement to kind of handle what was happening around the city, because there were these little hot spots for the last 4 nights now all around the city in different ways, in different places. So they really had to keep their eyes and ears open as they handled dynamic situations throughout different parts of the city. And you know what? We have a little bit of a situation here, so I'm going to let you go as well.
Yeah, we see that. Lori, be safe out there. We're going to go back up to SkyCal over the Santa Ana area.
Yeah, I wanted to point this out to you guys, Juan and Susie, because it's the first time we've seen the National Guard on the move, kind of. Now, I want to be clear, the federal building is right there. That is the federal building to the left. So they are still near federal property, but this is the first time we've seen National Guard in vehicles and not, kind of standing on the steps of a federal building. So I just wanted to point that out. John's been looking up and down the street. I don't believe they're going any closer to the protesters, but this is the first time that I have seen, you see one over here too. So this is the first time I have seen National Guard troops in vehicles and moving being a little bit more mobile than they have been in Westwood and in downtown LA. So I just wanted to show you that to you. We'll give you some context. They're not far from the protesters. There's a line of Orange County Sheriff's deputies, and then further up here is the protesters, which this crowd looks like it has thinned from what it was earlier when we were talking to Nicole, and even when SkyCal was looking at it earlier. So hopefully this situation is starting to diffuse itself as well. But I just wanted to show you that the National Guard is a little bit mobile in Orange County, which we have not necessarily seen them be that way in LA County.
Mike, from SkyCal, they almost look like miniature tanks, but what are those, Jeeps?
They're Humvees, essentially. And you've got that top thing on top is something that, a guardsman could stick his head out and be kind of looking out that way. I mean, they're used in more, I don't want to not call this a serious situation, but where more force would be used, where you would have somebody that needs to stick out at the top of it to potentially have eyes on something, or in very serious situations, use it as a mechanism to be able to sit up there and use a gun in that situation. This one doesn't have that. That's more of a regular type of Humvee there. But yeah, I mean, this is what you would see with a militarized group of people. This is a military group. This is the National Guard, and this is the type of equipment that they use.
And it looks like they're scattered along the street there to keep people from coming back, right?
Yeah, because that's the federal. So Santa Ana it has a kind of a decently large federal complex here. So you've got the federal, John, I think you said it's a courthouse, right? That taller building? Yeah, federal courthouse is the taller building, and then you've got some other federal buildings a little bit to the left down that John was going to show us here. That's also a federal building as well. So they're a bit more spread out. It's almost a little bit like the Westwood campus. This is where we were earlier. So this is where we were showing you, and there's those federal agents that are still standing there, but now they're taking a little bit of a break. But this is where that clash with all those protesters was happening. That guy in the yellow hoodie that Nicole and we showed you earlier, that is where the bulk of this activity was happening. And then, John, show us just the straight line, because they've pushed those guys from there just all the way down the street. And if we go all the way down the street, we'll end up back at those businesses. So Santa Ana PD and now the Orange County Sheriff's Department has just been pushing them straight down to this location where there's only a few of them left at this hour.
They're blocks and blocks away from the federal building, Mike, that's for sure.
Yeah, lots of pushing they've been doing. And it looks like to the point where we're even getting traffic moving here, and they're up on a sidewalk. Is that a protester is directing traffic, it looks like? Well, that's nice of them.
They're crowding that corner there, and maybe even directing some traffic. But what you were looking at, those National Guard units on the move for the first time that we've seen actually in Santa Ana tonight. And they are just a few of the 2,000 who are already here in place in Southern California. And then we're going to be adding, according to President Trump, 2,000 more in the coming days. So it should be interesting to see how that all pans out and where they're actually positioned.
Plus the 700 Marines.
Plus the 700 Marines that we're talking about that were also deployed to come here. And it makes you wonder where they will all be. Where they all, will they all be in Westwood and in downtown LA where these federal buildings are that they're guarding right now? Will they just add more to that, beef that staff up, or will they be placed in other areas? We have heard reports of more of these raids by ICE coming our way in the coming days, so that could also be support for that as well.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been official. We've been hearing the number 30 days of possible raids happening in Southern California here, which of course, we've seen these raids started on Friday of last week, and you see what happened 4 nights later where we are tonight. So the uncertainty definitely has the community concerned. And as you see here from SkyCal in the Santa Ana area here, looks like a lot of the protesters have dispersed. They're further away from the federal building right now, but the National Guard is in place. And Mike, we could safely say that the Marines that came from 29 Palms should be in town already.
Yeah, they should be. They've been moving down. We saw them come out of 29 Palms. Riverside Sheriff gave them an escort. San Bernardino Sheriff gave them an escort as well. But we've kind of lost track of them since then. I do have a camera on the 10 freeway in the El Monte area, and we've been trying to watch to see if that's where they'll come through. That's the most logical area, because in theory they would come down from 29 Palms into the Palm Springs area, through Riverside into San Bernardino, and then into LA County. But it just depends on where they're going, right? We don't know if they're going to go sit at Westwood, where that would make the most sense. That's the largest federal piece of property, because as we talked about earlier, there's not coordination with city and local officials. So where do they go, right? When we've seen them here in the past, they've used the Rose Bowl, they've used the LA Convention Center. It doesn't seem, as we're on the right side of your screen watching these people do a makeshift barricade and block off the street with a fence there, it's unclear where the Marines are actually going to be staged. Westwood would make the most sense just because of the amount of land that is over there. I mean, truthfully, if you wanted to, you've got the VA over there too, which has a ton of land as well. Yeah. So we'll have to see. We haven't seen them. I was just going through the feed. I have not seen them come across the 10 freeway yet. It doesn't mean that they'll come that way. They may go a different way, but we're trying to sort that out. But yes, I mean, based on, if you do the math the right way, they should be coming into the LA area fairly soon. There was, and we were trying to get some, confirmation on it. There was a video that got posted in San Bernardino County where a guy actually blocked them while they were on the road, and San Bernardino Sheriff took that person into custody. That person, one of the reasons that I don't think I can get a hold of him is because he was arrested for impeding traffic and kind of refusing those orders. Again, this is all according to him. He posted a live stream video from inside the back of a cop car of all of that going down. So who knows if they made other stops along the way, if there was other complications getting here. We'll have to figure that all out. I'm sure we will in the coming days, if not tonight in the morning, figure out exactly where they ended up.
Yeah, by daybreak.
Ed Lascos, thank you. We stay now in downtown LA. Laura Diaz is in another location for us tonight. Laura.
Yes, Alex, we are at First in San Pedro. When I first started the evening, we were at Second in San Pedro, but that's where that group that originally did a sit-down, it was all very peaceful. In a matter of 30 minutes, it turned ugly. They started letting off fireworks, and then at that point, you know, the law enforcement responded to that with pepper spray, and then everybody started running. Now, we have that video for you. We're going to play it right now. Let's listen. It was very tense as everybody ran. It was a stampede, and I was running with my camera crew and our security detail, trying to run with this cable in between us and stay out of the way of this crowd that simply was not paying attention. They just wanted to get out of the way. Let's listen. Yeah, it's getting ugly out here. It's getting ugly. Okay. Okay. So for our own safety, we left the immediate area. Of course, we were all coughing. Our eyes were stinging from that, substance that went up into the air. I can tell you this, that people pushed back and they went further out on San Pedro, which is where we are right now. We've only moved about a block. At one point, we saw two guys that were pushing big, huge dumpsters with graffiti all over them, using it as some kind of a barricade to go toward law enforcement that was pushing down the street. At one point, we saw another guy with an entire satchel full of rocks, and then we saw people pulling pieces of cement, presumably to throw at law enforcement. I didn't actually see them throw it, but they were certainly getting ready for it. And as somebody who's lived here my whole life, I have to say something on behalf of all the merchants. It breaks my heart to see people who've worked so hard to create their stores and their restaurants, and they're covered in graffiti. So the people who had good intent in their heart to go out and talk about what their concerns were, to be able to express themselves as we're allowed to do in this country, and then it de-escalates into something that is so ugly and awful, and the merchants who have nothing to do with any of this will now have to clean up their businesses. And you can't help but witness it as you're walking through the streets and feel for them, because they have nothing to do with this. But that is the scene here in downtown LA. Every once in a while it's punctuated by some kind of a flashbang or smoke in the air or people running and screaming. But that is the scene here, and we are staying close by in downtown Los Angeles, continuing to report on it. I did hear one report that there was an officer in distress about a block over. I can't confirm that I saw it with my own eyes, but certainly they're trying to push people out of this area. I'm Laura Diaz reporting live, sending it back to the studio.
Yeah, and Laura, I think about when I saw the video of that dramatic moment, all the people that were documenting it with cell phones, and I think about the way that protests used to be covered maybe 20, 30 years ago. It was all just sort of the old school cameras, and now so many people are out there with phones in everybody's face. It's a totally different scene.
Yeah, they're live streaming it, a lot of people. And, many people are going on social media to find out where to show up. It's possible to look at a map that's in real time. And so they gravitate to that section. And so it creates its own energy, if you will, Alex. And we're seeing a lot of that tonight. So people respond in real time. And then I think, quite frankly, it works up everybody. It gets the adrenaline pumping, and people act out and they take it to that next level. So it is a very potentially dangerous push and pull that's going on at this hour.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. We go from Little Tokyo to Santa Ana, where we've seen equal unruliness and unrest there tonight. You can see that Some barricades have been put up right there. You have law enforcement, looks like the sheriff's department there. Not sure if they put that up there to keep vehicles and people from coming through, but that's where they are positioned right now. It is a quieter scene when it comes to a crowd of people, so don't know if they were able to push back that crowd. It's hard to tell in this tight shot here.
Copy that. Okay, copy that. They're running toward the Japanese mall, the Japanese village mall. Copy that. Say that again, Booth? No, not here. There may be some looting taking place elsewhere in the city. If you want that for the top, we can go over there. No, in downtown, but to our west by a few blocks. We did hear people breaking into some stores, but when officers arrived, they were gone. Yeah, they're in and out in 30 seconds, so. We could call them stragglers. Yeah. Yeah, no, these aren't protesters. Copy. Copy.
Hey, you see my shot, right? Yeah, Michelle thought you didn't hear. She didn't think you saw the shot. Can you hear her audio? Mic check, Michelle.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh.
I can fix it on my end too. Mic check, Michelle.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Keep going. Keep going.
The National Guard in Santa Ana, working with Santa Ana PD. Their operations focus near the...
All right, thank you. All right.
So what do you want to do for live shot? Like, I can hear you, yes. What's up? Okay, thank you. So, okay. So Tommy, do you want to? Did you hear Lori too? Okay. So do you want to show? Do you want to? Should we start right here and say like, you know, you can see the federal building there, the National Guard's down there. Down 4th Street, we're seeing the Sheriff's Department and Santa Ana Police. They're engaging with protesters. Can we do that? Is that kind of a large swing?
It's a long swing, but we can do it still.
Okay. Is there no easy way to do it?
No.
Well, what if we start there and then just kind of, that's the shorter version.
Start
Okay.
here and just swing on around this way. You better watch, don't want to trip over there.
I'm going to just turn.
Rob, come behind me.
And maybe this guy can,
I can still show it. No matter. OC Hawk, do me a favor, flip that sign down, please. I got to swing that way, and I want to show that. Bad enough is on all the buildings, so Michelle, I don't want to go over there too much. I'm going to have to zoom in.
We can just go, we don't even have to go past this truck. If we can just go.
No. I'm talking about the stuff on the side, on the wall.
Right, but I'm saying we don't even have to go past that.
Okay.
Just.
I'm just looking at them in that corner.
Why is that cracking like that?
I don't know, Michelle. I'm hearing it good.
Do you hear it?
I hear it okay.
As soon as the show starts.
You want mine? The one I can switch out now.
No.
I want to be able to hear what you're hearing. So if I have a problem, I can fix it.
It's fine right now.
All right.
Okay, we want to head now down to downtown LA, where we just saw some people, some agitators, I guess you could call them, lighting, look like a banner on fire, Mike?
Yeah, it looked like a banner. It also looked like they maybe have brought out, some outdoor dining. That looks like what that might be, because it's got a whole thing on it, but then there's only one side of it. They're lighting that on fire. There's a fence there that they've brought up. There's actually 2 fences. There's the metal fence up there, and then you've got like a wood fence that they drug out from, I assume, someone's business here. That guy's got a stick that's on fire. He looked like he was chasing that person. I don't know what his plans are. I mean, you're looking at these people who are very clearly out to cause, harm. It looks like, hopefully the fire on his stick goes out before he gets there. There's another fence in the middle of the road. I don't know if he's gonna try to light these tarps on fire, but looks like that kind of, outdoor dining seating areas that we've seen, especially during the pandemic. I don't know where he went. I mean, he's underneath that tarp. I don't know if he's trying to set it on fire or exactly what he's trying to do. Further up the street is the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, along with California Highway Patrol officers that were moving through. You've got that trash bin in the middle of the street there. There they are. They haven't really moved. Looks like LAPD is here with them as well. But you see LAPD, CHP, and Ventura County Sheriff. There's another firework that is being set off. And John, let's go back to that. Yeah, there's smoke there, but I can't tell what he did. If he came back out or if they're still under there.
Yeah, there's somebody filming this person as he's doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah, John thinks they may be shooting the fireworks from underneath of here or from at least right in front of it. It looks like a mattress in front of there too. So these guys have gotten themselves a little coordinated here, where the kind of the blockades they've tried to put up in the street. You see the Sheriff's Department and LAPD is there as well. There is CHP. And then you've got the, here he comes back out, or there's that other person that was recording him. So weird situation, but there is that fire there on First Street.
Okay, Mike, thanks for that. Tom, I don't know if you heard Mike talking about a banner that was set on fire. What street is that? San Pedro and what, Mike?
First Street.
Okay, so you are aware of that. Can you see that from where you are?
So I was wondering what was burning because I can see it coming up over, I think that's the metro station there, and I can smell it. Just moments ago, we had a crowd surge toward us again because there are more operations going on to clear people from this area. You can see the police line there. They just moved up the street. Protesters were confronting them and firing fireworks, and police responded with less than lethal rounds, also with pepper spray and other devices. We've been hearing them all night. Choppers are up. It's just been a nonstop escalation, and you see there again more fireworks. And quite frankly, it is a rinse and repeat of confrontations and clashes and pepper spray. Okay, we have some people, we're just being safe here. In any case, it's just been quite a bit of drama. Let's go to some video real quick, just from about an hour ago at 2nd and San Pedro. So you get a sense of just how chaotic it was over there. Tensions boiling over, as we've seen many, many times in the last few days, obviously throughout the day and tonight. People firing fireworks into the police line. CHP responding, you saw there. They dispersed the crowd eventually by surging forward, breaking up the crowd. And then there's some video I want to show you too of someone put a bicycle out in the road, and an LAPD cruiser ran over it. We also saw people in the streets throwing things at police squad cars, hitting them with things. It's just been an escalation all throughout the night, and a lot of anger and frustration on the streets, and people are taking that out on these officers who are here. And from my perspective, that's what I've seen. Now, there's been so many peaceful protesters as well. I want to make that very clear. Vast majority that I've seen are not hurling things at police, but it only takes a few to do it, and that triggers a very intense response, and that's what we've seen play out, in these videos. And once again, another pretty tense situation here, very volatile. It has been all night. We don't know what police will do next. They're here at this line, and then we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, I can smell that burning, Pat. I'm not sure what it was. You said it was a banner, right?
We believe it was. Yeah, or it could have been something like an outdoor dining, tent of some kind or overhang. But it seems to be out. I think Mike has been monitoring.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 So what does it look like now, Tom, compared to when you first got out there? I know the situation has changed so many times, even as you've been live doing your hits. Things have devolved and then become peaceful again. What is it like now compared to earlier on in the day?
Yeah, so good question, Rutabaga. We're going to walk down a little bit here and just take a peek kind of where things stand. We were up on this plaza. We're right at the Japanese American Museum, and we were just up kind of trying to stay out of the way of police. And so basically the action was all kind of going on at San Pedro and Second, where we showed that video. Now we're at First, and this is where the crowd sort of once again gathered up again, and then police just moved through. So it looks pretty empty now. Oh, that's the banner that burned. There we go. Yeah, there it is. I can smell that and see it now. I can see it now.
Yeah,
so you can see there, but it has stuff on it we shouldn't show. It has some profanity on it. We apologize, obviously, to our viewers. There's a lot of vandalized buildings and spray paint. It's everywhere, and it's just it's very difficult to avoid. So yeah, this area now appears clear. This was really the sort of hot spot, and police now moving, and so it's unclear where they're going to go next. Obviously, you guys have a better bird's eye view from KCAL of what's going on, but you know, it was just a very tense and volatile situation with just emotions running high, people angry, running, crowds surging, people throwing things, and you just don't know when things are going to turn, right? I mean, so you know, innocent people can get hurt. I saw one guy bloodied walking through the parking garage next to Little Tokyo, where this was all happening on 2nd and San Pedro, and as we were leaving it, we saw someone being carried away by apparently his friends or something. He was covered in blood, so who knows how that happened. It's an ugly thing to see some of this playing out. I know a lot of people are hurting, a lot of people are angry, especially because of what's going on. You know, families are, you know, encountering great difficulty because of these ICE operations and going through great hardship. And there's, in many communities, just a lot of hurt and anger. So you understand why people want to come out here and express their feelings and make their feelings known. And many of them, many are so peaceful and just wanting to share that. You know, to share that and to express their freedom of speech and their rights here on the streets. But then you also have, you know, people mixed in, these agitators, and sort of some of them are anarchists. I'm watching a few of them spray paint buildings, and you know, these are people's businesses in some cases. So you're ruining someone's mom and pop restaurant in Little Tokyo. How is spray painting something, you know, on that wall gonna you know, benefit the cause when it's someone's restaurant? You know, so your heart breaks for that person too. So hopefully things tamp down a little bit. Hopefully cooler heads can prevail, but it doesn't look like, at least it looks like things are better in this spot. But you know, this is what, night number 4 of anger exploding on the streets, and we just have to hope that things can cool down a bit.
Well, you know, we can say with certainty that thank goodness so far this night has not lent itself to what we saw last night, which was just total chaos. We see these sporadic fires being set in the middle of the street, just like the banners that you saw, Tom, and then they go out, and let's hope that's what happens here. We do know that there are a lot more law enforcement personnel on the streets of Los Angeles right now, and a lot of, you know, what we're seeing now, even especially younger people. We know there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of sadness, and family members that do, and community members that want to come out and support the cause and are against these ICE raids. But at the same time, you know, you have to think about now, if you get arrested or something happens to you, they'll be just as sad for that. But that's not something that comes to mind when you're out in the middle, in the thick of all this. But we have to say that a lot of this looks like it certainly could be planned by people that are known to do this. You know, who would know to just converge and bring things together, and, you know, flammable things, to light things on fire or to move around trash cans, and they're all taking video. They're taking pictures of this, and it's not necessarily to protect themselves. I think we can say that for sure. They're taking pictures, I guess, maybe to post, but that's going to have their faces or you know, their bodies on tape. And actually, they're really laying crumbs, so to speak, for law enforcement to follow up later, which they will.
And not only that, but they're representing Los Angeles. These are the images that people are going to see across the country and world of Los Angeles when they light fires like this and cause this type of damage. So definitely not helping their cause.
And the thing too, I mean, LAPD is there to protect and keep. They're not there conducting the raids or even assisting ICE. So not quite sure that that's on the minds of the people that are causing the damage tonight. We're going to go to our Lori Perez. She is also live in downtown LA. Lori, were you in a predicament just a moment ago before we went on the air at 11?
Yes, that is definitely the word for it. You know, I'm going to echo a lot of what Tom was saying about just the intensity of what is playing out or was just playing out here in downtown Los Angeles. We're not too far from where he is. We're at San Pedro and First as well. You can still see the force of law enforcement that remains at the ready here. Sheriff's deputies lined up along San Pedro. And just a little while ago, we found ourselves kind of caught in this projectile battle between these sheriff's deputies and some agitators who were facing off with them coming down the street. And I want to show you on the sidewalks and on the street here some of the stuff that was being thrown back and forth. You can see this is new. We're seeing golf balls. You know how hard golf balls can be. So those were being launched at officers, at deputies, and then rocks, of course, lots of rocks. But then also you can see in return, those are the shell casings. Those are from the less lethal weapons, those rubber bullets that deputies and officers use when they are trying to control a crowd that is hurling things at them. So, you know, as we were coming down the street, watching things like, check this out. This is a big bag of rocks. So at one point, we're assuming there were agitators on this side who had brought this, that they were going to launch at officers. So as we were coming down the street, you're right, we found ourselves in the middle of that kind of battle, and we had to duck into one of the alcoves of those stores over there because there was so much being shot back and forth, and we were seeing people right in front of us getting hit by pepper balls and by those rubber bullets and rocks that were even coming and falling right near us. And so we ducked in there along with some other people who were seeking shelter from everything that was getting thrown about in the air, and we stayed in there until it was over. You know, it took some minutes for it all to be over, and I'll admit, I was maybe a little overly cautious, but I did not want to get out of that alcove until I knew that it was all in the clear, because I did not want to get hit by anything. And it was intense and it was dramatic. One of the most dramatic moments, I would say, of my career. And I've covered a lot of stuff, so it was pretty scary. But at this moment, after that kind of calmed down, the crowd that had been facing off with the sheriff's deputies dispersed. They went in that direction. However, we every once in a while still hear some fireworks going off. They're still throwing fireworks this way. And we also are hearing some bangs and explosions in this direction. So again, just really speaking to the little pockets of activity that continue to persist here in downtown Los Angeles tonight. You know, not, I would say, quite as intense as some of the stuff that we saw last night, thankfully, but still quite a bit to be handled here in Los Angeles tonight. Guys, back to you.
Well, we're certainly glad you're okay, Laura. And yes, I know you've covered many protests, many violent protests. So for you to see cover as you did, you felt definitely a need to do that. And so glad you did that. And while you were talking and you discovered this bag of rocks, we have a picture up where we see protesters just pulling out hammers and taking apart a piece of the curb and breaking it up. 4 rocks, we assumed, pieces of concrete to throw at law enforcement. At one point, we saw them, they seemed to be scrambling. I don't know exactly where they were going. Mike, did you notice that too? There were quite a few of them.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if it was because the LAPD moved up a little bit, but the LAPD is still a significant distance away from where these protesters are. But I want to ask John to go back into that curb, and we can show people what's left of the curb right there, just under the traffic signal where you see 3rd Street. I mean, and you see that person right there kind of picking at it. Look, he's picking up a rock or a piece of concrete. We saw somebody come over with a sledgehammer and just started sledgehammering the curb here to be able to take it away. He had a backpack. and he was putting the chunks of concrete in a backpack. And look, you see one person picking it up, they're kind of handing it off to people. We saw people put it in their pockets and just kind of hanging on to it. You see it handing it off again. And they're just kind of, who knows what they're going to do with it. I mean, we assume they're going to throw it at law enforcement because that is what we have seen them do in the last several nights. I can't tell. There was, Pat, to your point, there was, what's over there? There's a fire, John. Can we move around? Something really is on fire right there. Look at that. Maybe setting the trees on fire too. Oh, a car.
That's a car.
Wow.
Yeah.
They graffitied the car first, I guess, and then set it on fire.
And we were seeing several people running around with sticks or something on fire. That's never a good sign, ducking under tents and things like that. When people are showing up to these protests with hammers and setting things on fire, even if it's not property at the moment, it's never kind of a good sign, and it's a sign of things to come. So we are now seeing the car go up in flames.
Right underneath of a tree that will probably catch on fire as well. And, LAFD, we saw this last night. LAFD is not interested in coming in trying to put these fires out with this crowd being as hostile as they are. They let, those Waymos burn forever yesterday before they came in because it just wasn't safe. What was that? John, telling me something one more time as we watch. Sorry, we can't get in too tight on the car, John's telling me, because there's a lot of profanity on it, which has been the case, since this all started. Every piece of profanity they're doing is really intense. And this car is going to burn pretty hot. And I can't tell yet if it's caught the tree on fire, but it is certainly very close to it. This just happened. Obviously, we didn't see, when it happened. And I can't tell, John, is that an electric car? I mean, that was part of the problem yesterday, is the Waymos are obviously electric, which makes them burn. It's a Hyundai, John tells me. But those, lithium-ion batteries, we know how those burn, and that's what happened yesterday with the Waymos. This obviously on fire right now as well, and a situation that is not what we wanted to see tonight.
And it looks like there's another car right behind it, which is kind of a volatile situation as well.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't spread to that. And here's law enforcement. They're going to start to move up. Hopefully they can, there's not very many of them, but hopefully they can get on the other side of the car fire and they'll let City Fire come in behind them to try to get the fire put out before it spreads to the tree or another car behind it. But it's just, for what purpose at this point, right? I mean, there's obviously never a reason to light a car on fire. And here we are at almost 11:30 at night. Now we're seeing this Hyundai burn just off of 3rd Street here.
And they don't know who it belongs to, for goodness sake.
It's parked, yeah.
Really, the purpose behind whatever they're doing is to make a point to send a message. Well, what message does this send? Because we don't know who this car belongs to. As far as we know, that could be somebody out there protesting.
Yeah, right.
I mean, really, when you think about it.
And I want you to look too, and John goes back in a little bit tighter. We can't go too tight, but look at all the cell phones and all the cameras that are being taken. This has become such a spectacle. Every time something catches fire, you have so many people taking pictures of it and video, and that's...
The lights went on.
Yeah, and sorry, John's telling me we're going to come into a fuel situation here where he's got to go home and get fuel. So this is probably the last thing we're going to see from SkyCal as this, kind of heats up, no pun intended with the fire there, but right here off of 3rd Street.
Yeah, and people taking photos of it, but no one making an effort, it appears, to put it out or try to get help in any way or calm the situation down. Yeah,
or back the crowd up so the fire department can get in.
Yeah.
And you know what sends another confusing message? I've seen so many people in those lime green jackets, the vests that you would think at some point would be service people. I remember during some of the Palestinian protests at UCLA, those were some of the people that were actually, I don't want to say organizers, but were trying to, shield people or tell people, guiding people at some point. Yeah, they were like liaisons.
Right, or at least groups. I mean, and John's telling me in this situation, it looks like that person maybe have a, press is a loose term I'm going to use for people, but there's all kinds of bloggers and photographers and all those kinds of things that will claim to be press that are trying to make themselves distinguish or stand out from the rest of the crowd using those high visibility vests. But yeah, I mean, it certainly gives them a different point. But to your point, Pat, yes, there were, I think in 2022 there were people that were wearing vests that were trying to act as kind of organizers or as your point, liaisons.
Well, not in this case. We've seen them take pictures, but that's about it.
Right.
Yeah, dangerous situation there, too, with all the other cars and the flammable material all around it. And these poor firefighters who are trying to go in and do their job. It makes it so dangerous and so difficult for them because they don't know what awaits them in the crowd.
Right. Right, yeah, and we're going to lose, SkyCal's going to have to go home and get some fuel here, so we're going to lose them very quickly, but we'll watch as they kind of take off here. You'll see LAPD behind them. Everyone's watching the car burn. Yeah, the officers are watching it, and so are the protesters.
Okay, walk us through last night, Mike, because if I recall, that car that we saw on fire, was the fire department able to get in and put it out, or how exactly did that
Well, the Waymos
extinguish?
So there were the 5 Waymos that got set on fire, and the fire department came in time to put like maybe the last 2 or 3 of them out. But I believe the first couple had basically burned themselves out. I mean, all the way to the ground.
This was a separate. It didn't look like it belonged to anything having to do like a Waymo,
right,
or a law enforcement vehicle.
No, not at all. And last night with the Waymos, it looked like somebody obviously intentionally called them there because all 5 or 6 of them ended up together on one street, and then they were very quickly vandalized. This looks like it's a car that's just kind of, you know,
location with firearms and what appears to be explosive devices. You're advised with the offense to tell an officer he was pepper sprayed. Information is in 3158.
see how they write things.
Supervisor or something?
Thank you.
St. Charles is massive. Nearby, we've got a 150 crew, a couple hundred people. Currently at Main Street, 2nd, southeast corner of PHF. We've got items being thrown. Third stop, 40 nearby. We're going forward directly in this direction. Yet, we're going to be at Main, just north of 2nd. Direction first ring. Okay, that's Rob. Main, 2nd.
Gabby Bascard.
Where? Sorry.
It's sort of like a game plan is to basically herd everybody out of here, you know. That's kind of what they're doing, just pushing people out.